Welcome to Bhatt and Bhatt Tutorials. Greetings of the day. I am Sheshadri, faculty for English. This is the session for 10th grade CBSE English. In this session, we will be discussing a poem. The name of the poem is Dust of Snow. The author is Robert Frost. Now, let us look at this is the whole poem, which has got 8 lines and which is there in 2 stanzas. Let us go through the poem once. It says, the way a crow shook down on me the dust of snow from a hemlock tree. This is the end of the first stanza. And the second stanza is, has given my heart a change of mood and saved some part of a day I had rued. These are the 2 stanzas of this poem. Now let us look at the explanation of the poem. The poem is set in a scene where the poet is in a bad mood and is walking by a hemlock tree. The hemlock tree is a poisonous tree. The important point that we need to note, dear students, in this poem is there are 2 objects which are used in this poem. One is the hemlock tree. Hemlock tree is normally associated with negative aspects in life. It is definitely not an auspicious thing to refer to. For example, a banyan tree or a maple or a pine tree would be a more happy or positive tree to refer to than a hemlock tree. But the irony of this poem lies in the fact that the author has referred to a tree which is normally referred to in a negative sense, but he uses in this poem, he uses it in a positive way. Now, as he passes by, a crow happens to throw some snow dust on him. Now this whole event itself is unexpected. It is not that he had planned that this will happen. And whether the snow falls on his head or shoulders is unknown, as there is no specific mention in the poem. Also, the readers are left in doubt about the bird's specific action, whether the crow was landing, shivering with cold, readjusting itself on the branch, or taking off. It happened to send some particles of snow upon the author. Now, the author passing by the hemlock tree, the snow falling on his head, both are incidental. It is just an incident which happens, which ultimately lifts him out of his bad mood. That is what we see in the next phase of the poem. Now, as I said earlier, the crow again is an object which normally is not referred to in a positive way. For example, a peacock or a parrot would be a more positive reference to a bird rather than a crow. So both the objects in nature which he has referred to here are normally associated with a negative aspect, whereas in this poem he has demonstrated that sometimes even the most negative of things can sometimes work out positively. So can we look at next? Now, for reasons unknown, the author was having a terrible day, but the falling of the snow on his head lifted his mood instantly. Now, this happened by chance. It was not planned. He was just going for a walk and he was just passing by that tree and this happened. But what happened to him was the total negativity in him suddenly changed to positive. So that is what we need to note. Now, he had already spent his day in a bad mood, but the rest of it was saved by the crow and the hemlock tree. Now, he had not planned this. He was just passing by the tree, and it was just a chance incident that this happened. And both the things which are normally viewed again negatively are the ones which helped him come out of his bad mood, and he was feeling much better, or he was feeling happier. Like I said, generally the hemlock tree and crow are used for negative references, but the poet has used them beautifully to portray that inauspicious things can also bring joy and happiness. Now, in nature, generally, we when we associate things, we can see that it is not that everything is only negative. It can turn out positive. That is one of the key points, students, to note, that in nature there are things which are negative can at times also have some positive effect. That is one of the points you can note. One must not take things for granted and should be open and accept whichever way nature chooses to bless us. Now, what we generally think is, the moment we think of a crow, we think of death, or we think it as a bad messenger or an inauspicious messenger. The hemlock tree, in fact, every part of the hemlock tree is toxic. It is a known toxin. The trees, the bark, everything in the hemlock tree is poisonous. It is very toxic to humans. But in this case, it has turned the other way around. So that is what he's trying to say, that one must not take things for granted, and we should be open and accept whichever way nature chooses to bless us. Now, this is the important part there. The next part that we are going to do is, we are going to do an analysis of how the author or the poet has gone about, and how his mood changed from a negative one to a positive one, and how he has used both these objects. When we start looking them, now, the way a crow, the very first line, it says, the black crow is commonly a symbol of death or fear. It is generally not a very auspicious signal. In fact, there are people who would go to any effects to get rid of the bad effects if by accident a crow were to sit on somebody's head. So that is why there is a lot of superstition also that is associated with the crow. So that is one of the things. Now, that crow is what has helped him come out of this mood. That is what we need to note in this particular case. Now, shook down on me the dust of snow. Since the crow is not associated with goodness, it is ironic that in this poem it is doing a good deed by shaking off the snow. Now, dear students, what is an irony? An irony is something unexpected that happens, or something that happens is not what is expected out of it. Since the crow is not associated with goodness, there is no way we would imagine that when the crow would be by chance shaking off the snow, it would do a lot of good to the author. But in this case, that is the irony. Both the hemlock tree as well as the crow. Now, from a hemlock tree, the hemlock tree is usually associated with poison and toxicity, because by nature the tree itself is like that. That is the nature of that tree. Every part, the leaves, the bark, the branches, every part of the hemlock tree is highly toxic to humans. So any reference to a poison is generally associated with the hemlock tree. Now, in this case, when we see, anyway, the beautiful snow that adorns the poisonous hemlock tree's branches are shaken off by a scary crow. Now, these are chance occurrences which have happened in the life of this poet on that particular day. Now, that chance occurrence itself changes his mood totally. So both negative things have helped him get out of his mood, whereas both the negative objects have become have had positive effects on him. Further, has given my heart a change of mood. Now, when at the beginning of the poem, due to whatever reason, the author is in a bad mood. Now, he was sad about something or he was depressed about something, but towards the end, after the snow falls on him, his mood totally changes. Now, the poet uses the elements of the fearsome crow and poisonous hemlock to do something good. Shake the white pure snow off the branches. This good act lifts the spirits of the person and causes the man to have an enlightened insight. Now, these are things which tell us, like we have discussed earlier, that we should not take negative things always as granted as negative. We shouldn't take it for granted. There is a chance that even negative things may turn out positive in some cases, as illustrated by this poem. Now, and saved some part of a day that I had rued. Now, the meaning of rued is he was in fact regretting about that whole day. He had some regret. Maybe he had not fulfilled his certain jobs, or maybe some of his wishes were not fulfilled on that particular day, which was a sad day for him. So the day was full of regret. Now he says, and saved some part of a day that I had rued. Obviously, this would have maybe this incident happened somewhere in the later half of the day. So the first half of the day was already bad. After the snow fell on him, the remaining part of the day became happy for him, or he got out of the mood and he became happy. So this ordinary incident leaves a deep impact on the poet. The incident of the snow suddenly falling on him. His mood changes for better. He realizes that the whole day is not wasted and a part of it is saved. Thus, the satisfaction replaces the regret. So whatever mood he was in the beginning of the day, after this incident happened, that mood changes to the better. So he says, at least my remaining part of the day became good. The whole day thus is not wasted. So that's why he says, and saved some part of a day. So next, let us look at when we have to summarize the whole feelings that the poet has expressed. Now, in just both the stanzas, that is a short poem by Robert Frost, it throws light upon the unimaginable healing power of nature and tiny things. From a bad mood to ill health, there is nothing that can't be cured by nature. In fact, along with traditional medicines or along with conventional medicines, we also know that there is a branch which is called nature cure. So this is one of those things. Like we have alternate medicines, you have yoga, you have meditation, you have things like homeopathy. Other than your normal regular allopathy, which is English medicine, nature cure is another part which is very powerful, which is why people go on activities like resorts, or they go for hiking trails, and they go out to nature, because there is this healing power of nature that is there. And the author was experiencing One such bad day when a crow's movement near a hemlock tree dusted snow upon him. Now this again was coincidental. It was a coincidence that the crow happened to sit on that tree and our poet was just walking by. So this sudden change it just brought about, it amused him. He did not feel irritated, or he did not feel threatened by the action of the crow. In fact, he was very amused. He was happy. So that changed him. The snow instantly makes him happier. His day gets a lot better. Thus, the supremacy of nature as a whole made him realize how petty his problem was. Obviously, maybe it was not a life-threatening issue. Maybe it was just in a day-to-day work. Maybe it was a minor problem. So, just a small change in his environment changed his mood from bad to good. Now, the fact that the hemlock tree is poisonous, combined with the crow being an indicator of doom and fear, are used in the poem as carriers of happiness in the life of narrator. This is ironical. This is the irony of this whole poem, that both are negative aspects. Both are associated with negative aspects. The hemlock tree as well as the crow. But in this case, they saved his day. They saved the rest of his day to lift his mood, and that is what the whole poem is about. Now, the poet, through these objects, has tried to highlight that sometimes creatures linked with negative aspects of life can be the bringer of change and happiness. Being outdoors in nature with all its unpredictability can benefit anyone, anywhere, at any time. Dear students, if some of you have had the chance of doing activities in nature, for example, rock climbing, or for example, trekking, you would have experienced that it takes immense effort to do rock climbing. But once you're on top of that particular peak, the satisfaction or the joy will make you forget all the stress and strain that you had when you did the very act. Similarly, when you're trekking, though the trekking may be strenuous, but when you reach your final point, the beauty of nature will take away all your stress. It will take away all your negativity and make you positive. There is also one such example. Is also that being outdoors in nature with all its unpredictability can benefit anyone and anywhere at any time. Now, when we look at the whole structure of the poem, we can see that it has got 8 lines. And there is a rhyming sequence in this. When we look at the rhyming sequence, which we'll also discuss later, the first line and the third line, the way a crow and the dust of snow, these rhyme together, shook down on me from a hemlock tree. These are again rhyming. Similarly, in the second stanza, has given my heart, and the 7th line, and saved some part. These two are rhyming, that is the 5th and the 7th line. Similarly, the 6th and the 8th line, a change of mood of a day ahead. Both these things are the rhyming. This is the rhyming that the poet has done. Now, there are a few questions here which you can note down the answer. I will be discussing the question and the answer. Please note this down. One of the questions, the first one is, how many lines does this poem have? As we can clearly see, the poem has 8 lines. How many stanzas? It has 2 stanzas. The first 4 lines is the first stanza. The second 4 line is the second stanza. Please note these answers down. In what season does the poem take place? How do you know? Now, in the third line, we see there is a dust of snow. Obviously, it is snowing, so we know it is the winter season. We know it is a winter season because the dust of snow is mentioned there. So the season is winter, and we know it because of the mention of snow here in the third line of the poem. The next question is, how did the poet feel before his walk? How did he feel at the end of the walk? Definitely, it is very clear that the poet was in a sad mood before he started his walk. At the beginning of the walk, or till that part of the day, he was in a depressed mood. He was sad. And how did he feel at the end of the walk? How do we know that? Because it says, the second stanza says that, has given my heart a change of mood. So it very clearly indicates that his mood has changed from sadness to joy, or it has changed from negativity to positivity. It has changed from negativity to positivity. So definitely he was feeling low, he was feeling sad when he began the walk, and towards the end of the walk, he was feeling happy. So that will be the answer for that. The next question. This poem was written in the dash person. Explain your reasoning. It is very clear that this poem was written in the first person, because when we look at the second line, it says, shook down on me. So the poet is describing in his own words, as though he himself is directly there. And it also in the last line, in the fifth line, it says, has given my heart. And again in the last line, it says, of a day I had rued. So all this tell us that the description of the poem is in first person. Now, when we look at the last question, why do you think the poet is happier after he is covered in snow? The reason for this is very obvious. Obviously, it was not outright snowing there. It was the snow which had collected on the tree, and the author was not expecting that he will be exposed to snow that particular day. Now, as he passes by the tree, it is just a coincidence that the crow shakes up the branches and the snow falls on him. And that sudden occurrence of the snow, the sudden occurrence of the falling of snow, changes his mood, and we know that very clearly that the poet is happier because of the stanza, because of the lines given in the second stanza. It says, has given my heart a change of mood and saved some part of a day I had rued. So he says that his regret about that particular day was over. So we can be very sure that because of the second stanza, we can be sure that the poet is happier after he was covered in snow. So you can note these things down. Then there are three more other questions. The poem is mostly about, now the three options there, it is the crow, the hemlock, the poet's mood. Now, as we can see, the most important thing here is the poet's mood, because that is what the whole of the second para, the whole of the second stanza says, that his mood is what changed. So the most important point is the change of his mood. Now, the poet must have found what the crow did to be, out of the three choices, amusing, frightening, boring. Obviously, the way he has expressed it, that his mood changed from bad to good, he was amused or he was happy. It was not that he definitely was not frightened, and he definitely did not get bored. So he was amused, or rather he was joyous, or he was happy that it happened. So definitely A is the answer there. Please note this. Then the last one is, a dust of snow would probably be a lot of snow, a flake of snow, a light snow. So obviously it is not a single flake, or it is not a huge snowing there. So it is a light snow, which means whatever was collected on the branches is what has dropped. So the answer would be a light snow. So these are some the answers for the questions here. The next we are going to look at is, there are some literary devices which poets use. These are not just for this poem. These are tools which are commonly used in many of the poems. Now the rhyme scheme here is AB, AB, CD, CD. In the sense, when you say AB, the first line and the second line rhyme with the third line and the fourth line, like we have seen it in the way a crow shook down on me is the first and the second line. The dust of snow from a hemlock tree. That is why the crow in the first line and snow in the third line are rhymed. Similarly, me and tree. That is, the B's are the second line and the fourth line are rhymed. Similarly, in the second stanza, it is the fifth and the seventh line, and the sixth and the eighth line. So the rhyming scheme is AB, AB, CD, CD. Now, the other literary device, or the other figure of speech which the poet has used here, is alliteration. Alliteration is the occurrence of the same consonant or consonant sound at the beginning of adjacent or closely connected words. The examples of alliteration are as follows. Has given my heart. That is the fifth line, where H is common. Both are consonants. H is a consonant. So, has given my heart. And saved some part. Again, there are S is repeated here, and saved some part. So this is an example of alliteration. Inversion. Now, inversion again, because of the rhyming scheme. When the structure of a sentence is changed by the poet to create a rhyme, this poetic license is called inversion. In stanza 1, inversion can be seen. For example, because of the rhyming scheme, as we discussed earlier, the way a crow shook down on me, he inverses it and he makes it the dust of snow. So crow and snow are rhyming, and he has inverted the line to get the rhyming. So that is inversion. The next literary device here is assonance. The prominence of a vowel sound throughout a line is called assonance. In stanza 1, line 2, shook down on me. In shook, obviously the O sound is prominent. That device is called assonance. Enjambment. When the same sentence continues to the next line without the use of any punctuation marks, it is called enjambment. It has been used throughout the poem. Students, you may note that there are no punctuation marks in all the 8 lines. The line it begins at line 1, and only at the end of line 8 you have a period. So like there are no commas and there are no exclamation marks. There are no other punctuation marks. So that device is called enjambment. Of all these devices which are commonly used, the most commonly asked is alliteration. So you may of all the 5 here, you can note that alliteration is an important literary device that you will be asked in many cases. Now, with this we come to the end of this session. Students, you may also want to compare any particular bad experience which you had which suddenly changed into a good experience because of a sudden act of nature, so that you will be able to fully appreciate what has actually happened to the author in this. Maybe you can, maybe you went on a picnic, or maybe you were out on a vacation, and then a thing suddenly happened. You can note that particularly down, and write it down perhaps, and then that would give you the effect that the crow and the hemlock tree had on the poet in this case. Any other doubts? Please contact us. Thank you.